Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridiyantasto Hyabadrani Vidunoki Suritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Vidreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. We are reading Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 3, 2 to 3. I seek blessings of all the assembled devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripasindhubhevcha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavibhyo. Kindly repeat after me. Ata kavirnam suyavadartha. Ata kavirnam suyavadartha. Syat pramatto vyavasaya buddhi. Syat pramatto vyavasaya buddhi. Siddhe anyatharthe nayate tatra. Siddhe anyatharthe nayate tatra. Parishramam tatra samikshmana. Parishramam tatra samikshmana. Ata kavinam suyavadartha. Sayat pramatto vyavasaya buddhi. Siddhe nyatharthe nayate tatra. Parishramam tatra samikshmana. Ata kavirnam suyavadartha. Sayat pramatto vyavasaya buddhi. Siddhenyatarte nayate tatra. Parishramam tatra samikshmana. Ata kavirnam suyavadartha. Sayat pramatto vyavasaya buddhi. Siddhenyatarte nayate tatra. Parishramam tatra samikshmana. Word for word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ata, for this reason, Kavi, the enlightened person, Namasu, in names only, Yavat, minimum, Artha, necessity, Syat, must be, Apramatta, without being mad after them, Vyavasaya buddhi, intelligently fixed, siddhe, for success, anyatha, otherwise, arthe, in the interest of, na, should never, yateta, endeavor for, tatra, there, parishramam, laboring hard, tatra, there, samikshamanaha, one who sees practically. For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavor only for the minimum necessities of life while in the world of names. He should be intelligently fixed and never endeavor for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavors are merely hard labor for nothing. Purport: the Bhagavad Dharma or the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam is perfectly distinct from the way of fruitive activities which are considered by the devotees to be merely a waste of time. The whole universe, or for that matter, all material existence is moving on as Jagat, simply for planning business to make one's position very comfortable or secure, although everyone sees that this existence is neither comfortable nor secure and can never become comfortable or secure at any stage of development. Those who are captivated by the illusory advancement of material civilization, following the way of phantasmagoria, are certainly madmen. The whole material creation is a jugglery of names only. In fact, it is nothing but a bewildering creation of matter, like earth, water, and fire. The buildings, furniture, cars, bungalows, mills, factories, industries, peace, war, or even the highest perfection of material science, namely atomic energy and electronics, are all simply bewildering names of material elements with their concomitant reactions of three modes. Since the devotee of the Lord knows them perfectly well, he is not interested in creating unwanted things for a situation which is not at all reality, but simply names of no more significance than the babble of sea waves. The great kings, leaders, and soldiers fight with one another in order to perpetuate their names in history. They are forgotten in due course of time, and they make a place for another era in history. But the devotee realizes how much history and historical persons are useless products of flickering time. The fruitive worker aspires after a big fortune in the matter of wealth, women, and worldly adoration. But those who are fixed in perfect reality are not at all interested in such false things. For them it is all a waste of time. Since every second of human life is important, and an enlightened man should be very careful to utilize time very cautiously. 1 second of human life wasted in the vain research of planning for happiness in the material world can never be replaced, even if one spends millions of coins of gold. Therefore, the transcendentalist, desiring freedom from the clutches of Maya or the illusory activities of life, is warned herewith not to be captivated by the external features of fruitive actors. Human life is never meant for sense gratification, but for self-realization. Srimad Bhagavatam instructs us solely on this subject from the very beginning to the end. Human life is simply meant for self-realization. The civilization which aims at this utmost perfection never indulges in creating unwanted things, and such a perfect civilization prepares men only to accept the bare necessities of life or to follow the principle of the best use of a bad bargain. Our material bodies and our lives in that connection are bad bargains because the living entity is actually spirit, and spiritual advancement of the living entity is absolutely necessary. Human life is intended for the realization of this important factor, and one should act accordingly. accepting only the bare necessities of life and depending more on God's gift without diversion of human energy for any other purpose, such as being mad for material enjoyment. The materialistic advancement of civilization is called the civilization of the demons, which ultimately ends in wars and scarcity. The transcendentalist is specifically warned herewith to be fixed in mind, so that even if there is difficulty in plain living and high thinking, he will not budge even an inch from his stark determination. For a transcendentalist, it is a suicidal policy to be intimately in touch with the sense gratifiers of the world, because such a policy will frustrate the ultimate gain of life. Shukdev Goswami met Maharaj Parikshit when the latter felt a necessity for such a meeting. It is the duty of a transcendentalist to help persons who desire real salvation and to support the cause of salvation. One might note that Shukdev Goswami never met Maharaj Parikshit while he was ruling as a great king. For a transcendentalist, the mode of activities is explained in the next shloka. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you, dear devotees, for your association. Sattvat Prabhu for joining online. Hare Krishna. We feel your presence. Okay. So, in the last verse, Shukdev Goswami is explaining to Maharaj Parikshit how this material world is illusory, and he explained that the Vedas give different instructions to enjoy the heavenly planets, which is like a dream. So he's continuing, Atah, therefore, there is no happiness in this material world. So a transcendentalist should not waste time in creating unwanted things. Prabhupada also says unnecessary necessities. Don't spend time on creating unwanted things or unnecessary necessities. And one should be very cautious of using every second of time. As Vishal Prabhu quotes many times, Chanakya Pandit, I had to write it down. Ayusha Shan Ekopi Na Labhya Swarna Kotivi. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this in the purport that even if we lose one moment, we cannot get it back after giving millions of gold coins. So this today is 6th of May morning, 2026, 7:40 in the morning. So this is gone and it will never come back again, no matter how much money you are ready to give. So transcendentalist is warned here to not spend time going after sense gratifiers or fruitive workers in the world. These fruitive workers are looking for women, wealth, and worldly adoration. So Srila Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate vidhu swart gatim hi vishnum turashaya bahirarthamanina andha yathandhair upaniyamanas tepi shatantrya urudhami. So he says this in his conversation with his father, who is the emperor, who is the best of the demons, and he's the emperor of the entire world. He has even subjugated all the demigods. So Prahlad is telling, my dear father, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home, back to Godhead, and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So Prabhupada says in the beginning of this purport that Bhagavad Dharma is perfectly distinct from the way of fruitive workers. So fruitive work is like the mode of ignorance, and Bhagavad Dharma is the mode of goodness. It's completely opposite, 180-degree opposite. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says what is night for an introspective sage is the time of awakening for a fruity worker, and what is and the opposite, the vice versa. So we wake up early in the morning because we want to go attend Mangalarti, chant our japa. But many fruity workers come back late because they want to earn more, spend more time in the night time, and they go to bed when we go to Mangalarti. They go to bed at that time. So this is we can see the contrast between Bhagavad Dharma and fruity work. The priorities are different. What is important for me? For a fruitive worker, he is looking for wealth, women, and worldly adoration. And for a transcendentalist, he is looking for emancipation. He is looking for perfect reality, as Prabhupada calls it in the purport. Perfect reality means that is eternal. Fruitive workers are looking to make their stay happy in this world and to be known for their work. So Prabhupada says in the purport, history and historical persons. They want their names to be embedded in the history and to be known as a great historical person. But Prabhupada says they are flickering products of time, these histories and historical persons. They die and they are forgotten to make place for another era. So we know many historical personalities like Napoleon, we know Alexander the Great, we know Caesar. They had great empires. They are still remembered, but soon they will be forgotten. So history teaches us that we don't learn from history. That's the best thing that history teaches us. We went for book distribution and many students tell us, oh, I do major in history. Then we say, oh, Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years old history and it is the favorite of Gandhi. So we are utilizing these people, Gandhi, Emerson, Thoreau, Martin Luther King Jr., who have read Bhagavad Gita to promote spiritual knowledge. So in that way, these historical persons can get the benefit of promoting Krishna consciousness or perfect reality. Otherwise, these simply names are of no more significance than the babble of sea waves. I was checking the meaning of babble. It is stammering, the baby talk. So when we go to the ocean, there is a lot of noise of the waves, but it is no more significance. It is not of any significance, although it might be pleasing. It's not of value, it's not of substance. So even if our name is known as a great personality like Steve Jobs or Dennis Ritchie, who invented the C language, ultimately it will be known. It will be forgotten after it is just a matter of time. What is of value is our spiritual progress. How much I have realized that I am not this body, but I am spiritual being. To that extent, I can remember Krishna at the end of my life. नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Whatever little endeavor or progress we make in spiritual life, it is eternal. It is going to stay with us. There is no diminution, there is no loss. It can save us from the greatest misery. So spiritual life is all gain and no risk. On the other hand, material life is all risk and no gain. Narad Muni explains this while in his conversation with Vyasadeva in first canto, fifth chapter, in text number 5:12. नैष्कर्म्यम् अपि अच्युतभाववर्जितं न शोभते ज्ञानम् अलम् निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शश्वदभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यद्यप्यकारणम्. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Prahlad Maharaj says, the moment I think that I want to be happy and let me endeavor to become happy, that's when my misery begins. So these fruitive activities, they are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature. Let's say I want to create a big business, I want to do a startup, then one has to work really, really hard. And we are not sure of success. In Silicon Valley, there are thousands and thousands of startups, but 90% of them fail. Only few can survive. So they are painful from the very beginning, and even if they succeed, they are transient by nature. They might not be able to continue or sustain. AI can come and take away so many jobs, so many businesses. So all this fruity work is transient. Whatever happiness we get is transient by nature. Their names are different. At different times, different technology is more prominent. So this is just the world of names. This is a world of names. At some point, electrical engineering was more prominent. Now AI is more prominent. In future, it will be something else, which will be more prominent. So at one point of time, software engineer was a great job. It might not stay in the next 10 years because AI will do everything that a software engineer could do. So this is just the world of names. One should not attach to the happiness that comes from a particular title in this world. I was also thinking about national museums. We have so many national museums, especially in Washington, D.C. I visited. There is a astronomy, no, they call aeronautical, Museum of Aeronautical Sciences. There are so many airplanes, but they are just there, and maybe they remind us of great work that people have done in the past to invent a plane, invent airplane, and different fighting air jets. But ultimately, if they are not used for Krishna consciousness, they will lead to fall. For example, these wars that are happening today in this age. So that is the result of material civilization without God realization. So God realization is not about not having material progress, but to have it in relationship with Krishna. So we see the stories of Krishna entering Dwarka, so much opulence, so many palaces, so much wealth, but it is all natural. Prabhupada writes in one of the purports that kings in those times will eat in the pots made of steel and gold. And today, royal people eat in the plate made of gatta parcha. He uses this word gatta parcha, which means plastic or paper. That's what people eat in today. That's the advancement of material civilization. So we can see that a civilization which depend on God consciousness also flourishes naturally. There is wealth, and that wealth is sustainable. It is connected to the nature, to the Mother Earth. Prabhupada says, Gavya Dhanvan, Dhanya Dhanvan. One who has cows, he is rich. One who has food grains, he is rich. Not people who have GMO food, a pantry full of GMO food and inorganic stuff. There are so many diseases. It is said that the major cause of cancer is, of course, there is a non-vegetarian diet, but before that is GMO, that genetically modified food. It can create cancer. So people don't have real food grains. There's no cows, there's no question of cows. So how can they be rich really naturally? So real wealth comes from being connected with the nature, being in harmony with nature. They're trying so many attempts. They're trying to have conferences to have green earth. They are celebrating World Earth Day. They celebrated in April 18, I guess. April 18 it was. So, but the way they celebrate it is it's unsustainable. It is just to get more money, get people together, to have wine, to buy products which are made of cardboard and something which is renewable. Ultimately, it misses the point because there is no God realization. So it's not sustainable. So this is the warning to the transcendentalist to live on bare necessities of life, zero carbon footprint as much as possible. So Prabhupada is known as a jet age acharya. He took he took airplanes to travel from one place to another. So he's utilizing this material advancement in service of Krishna. That's called bare necessities of life. You use as much as you need for propagating Krishna consciousness. When Srila Prabhupada would sit down to write his books, his setup would always be the same wherever he would travel in the world. He would have a trunk of books that will be his table. He had a picture of his spiritual master in the front. He had a dictaphone to record the commentaries, and he had a watch to see the time, and he would have a bell to ring if he needs help from his servant. That was his setup for translating these 80 volumes of books that we have. So he was a minimalist. When Prabhupada moved from one place to another in New York, he would carry the trunk on his own, and his disciples were not able to catch up with him. That was his physical and mental capacity. Prabhupada would travel from one part of the earth to another part, and then he will just change his clock and will be on that schedule. He won't have any jet lags. So this is called spiritual entrepreneurship. People want to have big businesses, but this is utilizing everything for the service of Krishna, for propagating Krishna consciousness. One reporter asked Prabhupada, so you guys don't work? She was saying condescendingly. So you guys don't work, right? Prabhupada, work? Prabhupada said, work? I am working more than you can. At least you can't work as much as I am doing. I'm traveling all over the planet and I'm managing a worldwide society. I sleep for 2 hours. At least you can't work as much as I do. So Prabhupada, even at the age of 70, he was not retired. Even when he was ill towards in 1975, he wanted to come to UK and encourage devotees in preaching Krishna consciousness. So one should leave everything on the field. A devotee never wants to waste even a moment. He wants to utilize until his last breath to propagate Krishna consciousness and for his own self-realization. कामस्य नेन्द्रिया प्रीतिर लाभो जीवेति यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्थो यस्येह कर्मभिः. This is from Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 10. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So we have a bad bargain of this material body because this material body has a expiry date and we don't know when it is going to happen. But whatever time we have, immediately we should utilize in self-realization. I actually had an insurance policy when I started working in India, and I bought it for 40,000 rupees, Indian national rupees per year, insurance premium. And after 3 years, I decided to come to US for my master's program. So that policy was no longer applicable for me because I was in a different country. I paid 100,000, 120,000 rupees for 3 years, but I could not use it. Maybe I got 8,000 rupees as a refund. So similarly, our material life is a very bad bargain. Mm. We spend so much on this material endeavors to get ourselves situated, but there is no comfort, there is no security, as Prabhupada says in the purport. When we go into the airplanes, they say, secure your seatbelts and enjoy your flight. But there is no security in the airplane, and it is not comfortable many times, the flights. It's it actually the word travel comes from travail, which means an instrument of torture. So there is no comfort in this world. There is Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Krishna says this is a phantasmagoria. This is just an illusory happiness, illusory kingdom. You may go up to Brahmaloka, which is the highest planet in this world. Still, you will have to come down again, just like a merry-go-round. Kids sit in the merry-go-round, they go up, and the kid on the top, he's laughing at the kid at the bottom. You are at the floor, I am here in the sky. And next moment he is at the floor, and the other kid is on the top. So that is this material world. Up and down, like a dream. So let's make the best use of this bad bargain by engaging this lifetime in Krishna consciousness. One lifetime for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I live to be corrected. We are open for reflections and any friendly challenges. And from Adinath Krishna. Yeah, a couple of minutes if you want to go ahead in person or online. Yes,
Krishna. No challenges here. We'll be defeated. But several thoughts, reflections. It was mentioned in the purport that Shukadeva Goswami never visited Maharaj Parikshit while he was in power as a king. It wasn't necessary also because he was like a Raja Rishi. He was already very saintly, as we heard in his pastimes, the way he ruled his kingdom. But I was reflecting on Vidura and Dhritarashtra. It was necessary for Vidura to visit Dhritarashtra while he was holding the position of king because he was not a Raja Rishi. He was a self-interested man. And it was talking about so many times in your class and in the purport, what happens to worldly men. You know, it's a waste of time going after all these unwanted desires that are temporary at best. Prabhupada mentioned several times. And you see in the case of Dhritarashtra as a hard example. Toward the end of his life, it was it was like embarrassing because, because he was eating the remnants of Bhima, and Bhima was the one who had slaughtered his favorite son Duryodhana, who had started the whole entire war in the first place.
And all the others too.
Yeah, all the other ones, Dushasan, and so Dhritarashtra was put into this position of taking the remnants of Bhima's food, while Bhima would make slight pokes at him about what he did to his sons and things like that. And that's really what it's like to try to enjoy the material world. It's we're never actually enjoying it, and we're left feeling a lot of shame, anxiety. But fortunately for Dhritarashtra, he was the son of Veda Vyas. He had Narada Muni coming in and out of the temple, so he had a lot of good association. He was able to live a minimal life, like what was recommended in this verse. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for such a nice parallel. So beautiful. So Vidura, Prahlad Maharaj says to his father, his father is asking, how did you get this? And he said, Naisha matis tavad uru kramangrim and anartha bagamo yadartha. Mahiyasam pad rajobhishekam nishkinchanana navranityavam. My dear father, you can't get this unless you get the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. You can't get this. So similarly here, because Dhritarashtra was appreciative of his brother, eh, Vidura felt compassion for him. He could get the mercy of Vidura, even though he was not a Rajrishi. So it is only by the mercy of a devotee that even a Rajrishi like Dhritarashtra could be delivered. So yeah, that is so true. And Prahlad Maharaj also says that, oh my dear Lord, many sages go to the Himalayas for meditation in seclusion, but they are not caring about other conditioned souls. I don't want to go to the mountains. I want to stay in the cities because I know these people who are mad after material enjoyment, they cannot be happy unless they take shelter of your lotus feet. That's why Srila Prabhupada came to the West, even though there are no Raj Rishis here like Maharaj Parikshit. But this is out of compassion of a devotee following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I will stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो नमो नमः